What's up, Money Minds? Welcome back to Market Briefs Video Edition. Today is October 25th, and here's some business and financial news you can finally use. The Federal Reserve made some pretty big changes last week. The Fed will officially ban policymakers from owning individual stocks. But where exactly did that come from? Well, simply put, Fed policies can, and often do, shift the market. So policymakers used to be able to buy and sell stocks ahead of a major policy change. There was plenty of controversy with this over the last 2 years. Central bank officials can now only own mutual funds and have to hold on to those for at least a few years if they own them. In today's market preview, stocks sank slightly lower to end last week, but major indexes all managed to close weekly gains. Every major index is on a 3-week winning streak. Earnings shifted a lot of different stocks around last week as companies like Snap plummeted. Snap's earnings report was so bad that Twitter and Facebook also fell into the red at the end of last week. Intel also fell dramatically to end last week. In addition, the SPAC that merged with Trump Media Digital World Acquisition Corp, DWAC, soared once again on Friday. And coming up again this week, you guessed it, more earnings. In today's financial tip of the day, let us show you how to ball on a budget. Okay, I'll admit that was pretty lame. But seriously though, budgeting is the act of planning out your expenses relative to the amount of income you've got available. By forcing yourself to think ahead and anticipate your bills, you'll do a much better job of actually preparing for them. So if you want to learn exactly how to budget your money into the perfect financial plan, our team wrote an article on this exact topic over on theminoritymindset.com, and I will link it for you in the description below. In our first main story of the day today, there should be no more predictions. But before we get into all of that, my name is Nate from Minority Mindset News, and if you like this video, make sure to smash that thumbs up button below and hit that little notification bell too. That way YouTube shows our videos to way more money minds around the world, and we can keep making videos just like this one. Since March of 2020, the airline industry has been hampered by travel restrictions and worker shortages. Travel numbers have picked up recently, but the volatility in the industry is beginning to wear on executives. Airliners like Delta, United, and American have been trying to predict when things will return to normal, but one in particular is just riding it out. After months of research, United Airlines is done making predictions. When asked about this move, United CEO Kirby had this to say: "We are not going to pretend we know what demand will be." United expanded this summer, but still scheduled 23% fewer flights than during the summer of 2019. And since the pandemic started back in March of 2020, airliners have had to significantly adapt just to stay afloat. Carriers changed route networks and even flew to smaller cities that would not have been worthwhile before the pandemic. But now, airliners have a new strategy. United is looking to play the long game on this road to recovery. As uncertainty drags on, there is no point in trying to guess when demand will recover to normal levels. United put in place a bounce-back team to help with all different scenarios, but for the most part, they are preparing for the long road ahead. Next up in our second main story of the day, let's take a peek at that earnings menu. Beyond Meat and Chipotle reported earnings last Friday. Even though they're technically partners in the restaurant world, we're pitting them against each other in this earnings recap. Beyond Meat burnt itself, falling to a 52-week low after lowering its revenue outlook for the fiscal third quarter. So who's to blame for all of this? Well, Beyond Meat blamed the Delta variant and severe weather for its decrease in revenue. Its facility in Pennsylvania lost portable water for 2 weeks due to this weather. Next up is Chipotle, who set a new record. It reported record sales for the third quarter. Both online and in-store sales soared even though Chipotle raised prices on its menu. Revenue increased by 22% year over year. Boosting beef prices helped offset higher prices, and new menu items also intrigued customers. Chipotle saw a lot of success with its smoked brisket, but is pulling the meat from its menu earlier than expected for no specified reason. That is it for our main 2 stories of the day today, so let's take a quick break to talk about today's sponsor, M1 Finance. Unfortunately, many brokerages will charge you every single time you invest more money. Well, M1 Finance is not like most brokerages. They let you passively invest without paying a penny in commission fees. With M1 Finance, it is as easy as 1. Just pick your pie. That will actually show M1 Finance how you want your money to be invested. Number 2, set up automatic deposits. So a percentage of your paycheck is automatically invested and you don't even have to do anything. And number 3, sit back and let the markets do their thing, without, of course, worrying about commissions. And what's even better is opening an investment account with M1 Finance is completely free. So if you want to begin investing with M1 Finance and want to learn more about what they're about, I'll leave a link in the description below on exactly how you can do that. Big shout out to M1 Finance for sponsoring this video, and now back to the news. In our next story, Google is pulling YouTube from Roku streaming services after months of disagreements. Starting December 9th, Roku customers won't be able to download YouTube or YouTube TV to their device. Fallout comes after Roku accused Google of using its dominant presence to hurt businesses of smaller competitors. In 2019, Roku says Google would only allow YouTube to be available for Roku customers if Roku provided Google access to customers' search results. Roku said it agreed to those terms as long as Google didn't press for more later on, which Google allegedly would not agree to, sparking a conflict. Google claims they never asked for special treatment from Roku prior to offering their services, and accusations of this kind are completely baseless. Big tech antitrust legislation members Amy Klobuchar and David Cicilline have already publicly sided with Roku. If the deal isn't figured out before February, Google will pull the plug on YouTube for all of its customers. Next up, after seeing how Facebook and Instagram have been dragged recently, Snapchat is taking steps to be a safer platform for kids and teens before any scandals. Snapchat is taking this step by offering more parental controls, though they haven't disclosed what the controls will consist of. Its goal is to open up a conversation between children and parents about negative emotions the app may be causing them. The parental controls are not supposed to expose any user's privacy and are just designed to help parents with their kids. Snapchat also hired a global head of platform safety to oversee all of these safety precautions. In other news though, Snapchat's stock fell by over 25% after posting worse than expected earnings. The company blamed its poor revenue on the changing in advertising efforts after iPhone's most recent update. In today's Pick Your Brain section, wait, he's back? And no, we're not talking about Trump this time. This time, former WeWork leader Adam Neumann resurfaced to celebrate WeWork's public listing. Even though the ousted CEO was banished with a massive severance package, Neumann still controls around 11% of the company's shares. Next up is our Money Mind section, where we pull comments directly from you all on our YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok accounts. Today's comment is from Spector on our YouTube channel, and the comment reads, "How do I find investment opportunities? I am living below my means, but I have no idea how to find investments." And the question always is, when should you start investing? It is never too early or too late to start investing. There is really no perfect time to do so. If you are curious if right now is actually a good time for you to start investing, our team wrote an article on this exact topic over on theminoritymindset.com, and I will link it for you in the description below. Money Minds, we are nearing the end of today's Market Briefs newsletter, but here's just a few more things to keep in mind. Evergrande finally made a much overdue interest payment on dollar bonds. The company, though, is still in a lot of debt. Another thing to keep in mind this week is that movie ticket sales have already outpaced 2020 numbers, but they are still down 70% from 2019 numbers. In addition, a billionaire bond investor named Jeffrey Gundlach said that he thinks inflation will stay above 5% in 2021 and exceed 4% throughout 2022. And one last thing to keep in mind this week is that Tesla hit an all-time high last week, surging above the $900 per share mark after posting positive gains in its earnings report earlier in the week. But that is it for today's business and financial news. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Keep hustling, Money Minds, and I'll see you all in the next one.